Hello, everyone. Brenda Florida here, certified life coach, and you are on Delight and Desire, my weekly Instagram live every Tuesday. You know you're in the right place because Sherry is here. Oh, and KBH, Kimberly, you're here too. Hello, ladies. So nice to have you here today. Jim Hennigan, oh my goodness, that's a face from the past. So happy to have everybody here live with me. I love it. I do Delight and Desire each week. Washing a fence, Sherry. I don't even know what kind of a fence needs washing, but I trust you and know that it is a worthy endeavor. So I'm here live every Tuesday, although I guess we'll skip 4th of July. Everybody will probably be distracted, including myself. But each week we use delight and desire. So what delights us, what we desire, not things that many people are asking us about usually, but we use those as a way to get to our authentic self, as a way to know our truth, to look inside. It's always an inner journey. If you're new to my work, you don't necessarily know that's my perspective, but I will say always, no matter what I've talked about over the years and how I talk about it, it's always this inner journey because our inside is in truth so much more powerful than what is, outside of us. Circumstances, other people, whatever it is, money, health, everything that is, health is arguably not necessarily outside of you because it's in your body, but even an issue like health is so much more improved when we can upgrade our internal life. Here's my friend Liz. Excellent. Hey, Liz. So whenever we look at things that are troubling us or creating stress, or there's some area of our life we just want to upgrade. I love that word, upgrade, because I'm always looking to upgrade my life. And when I say that, I'm thinking first about internal upgrades, because whatever I am thinking and saying to myself is causing feelings, whether you mean for it to, you do that consciously. Science tells us that 90 to 95% of what we think and feel every day is from our subconscious. So that is below your conscious awareness. You're not aware of it, so you're not choosing it. And you can probably think of a million times that happens, right? Where you're just whatever, even in a project, driving down the road, reading a book, whatever, and something pops into your head. And those things are not always happy thoughts, right? And they will create anxiety or worry or anticipation of something. Do you like that? Yes. Upgrade my life. Like, I'm thinking about a whole theme here with that. So yeah, others, let me know if you like that, upgrade my life, because it just struck me this morning and I really like it. We could even change Tuesday's Delight and Desire to upgrade my life, which we might even do, because sometimes I think because I named it Delight and Desire, people don't always, get what it's really about to join us. But at any rate, I am happy to hear Upgrade My Life resonates with you, because that's what's been on my mind. Like all these upgrades, and they can be tiny little things, or they can be great big things, because, we all have situations, small and large, happening around us and that we're involved in or touched by in some way all the time. And that inner journey of what we're thinking and saying to ourselves about it. So you've got that 90 to 95% that's subconscious. The other that is conscious, although it's a smaller part of your brain power, has a ton of impact. And so we can take that conscious energy and say, okay, what would be a better thing to say to myself? For instance, when I coach people, and I'm guilty of it too, so don't think I don't do the same shit that I coach people about, because we all get caught sometimes. So when something happens, it can be easy to ask why, sort of why is this happening, or why does this keep happening if you feel like it's a pattern that's repeating. Why did I get myself into this, blah, blah, blah. We tend to ask a lot of why questions because our brain, the sort of mindset part of us, is trying to figure it out, right? Like we have this whole part of our brain, you can call it whatever you want, ego, the lizard brain, whatever you want to call it. It is this part of us that is 100% devoted to feeling safe and secure in the world. And so it is out there looking, sorry for the ceiling fan whipping behind my head there. That part of you is always on the alert and on the lookout for something that might hurt you or impact you in a negative way or whatever. And it wants to know why and how to stop it and all these sort of analytical things. And yet, as much as I can be a very analytical person and I love that part of myself, the older and hopefully wiser I get and the more people I coach, the more I realize that all of that analyzing of what to do and what not to do, why is this happening, pro and con list when there's a big decision to make, all those things, is really a lot less helpful than just going inward into the inner part of ourselves that is always waiting for us, always has something. I'm going to use the word positive. Maybe that's not the best word. Maybe more like productive, not as in productivity, get more done, productive, but something that will take us to that upgrade. Okay. Because our wiser self knows that we don't usually need to know why something happened to us. What we need to know is what it has for us. What is in it for us? What's the gift in it? Even when it's something horrible, what is the gift in it? What is going to be for me in this thing? Or for our theme today, what about this is going to upgrade my life? And I mean that about even the most, difficult of situations. Hello there. Maybe it's Shan. I don't know if I'm saying your name right because, plus just because it's your name on Instagram doesn't mean it's really your name. Anyway, I'm so glad you're here. Loving you back. So when we go to the inner world says, hey, wait, I don't care what happens. We can benefit from this in some way. So going back a few years to my most difficult time in my life and most recent of being without a home for 2.5 years and all the financial struggles I had and all the losses and all the, quote unquote failures. So it was very easy for me to get pulled into that downward spiral of sort of, why is this happening? Or even the sort of same question, slightly, that seems like it's a slight upgrade, which is, what's the lesson in it for me? I don't even like that anymore because it feels like you've done something wrong. And so now I got to teach you a lesson. Maybe that's my Baptist fundamentalist upbringing there, but I don't like those words. So I don't even want to know what the lesson is. I want to know what is seeking to emerge. How is this going to benefit me? Because what I know is every person with a great story and all the great people that I admire have had incredible hardship, and that is exactly what makes them who they are. So when we look at wanting to upgrade our lives, it's not about, I want to upgrade so nothing, stressful or hard ever happens to me again. It's that I want to take life in all of its fullness and benefit from that, even the things that are hard. So tell me, for those of you who are on live, and if you're watching the replay, you can put your comments, drop your comments in the comments and I'll respond to those. I did set up a playlist, on YouTube. So there's a podcast playlist where I'm uploading these episodes, although with my travels last week and this week, I haven't uploaded last week's yet, but there's a bunch of episodes of Delight and Desire there on my YouTube channel, Brenda Florida, because Florida is really my name. A lot of people wonder about that. Did I make it up? Do I live in Florida? No. It's just my name, Brenda Florida. Easy to remember, easy to spell. My website's brendaflorida.com. My email's brenda@brendaflorida.com, all the things. So here I am, Brenda Florida Coach on Instagram. But if you head over to YouTube, Brenda Florida, you'll find the Delight and Desire podcast playlist, and you can catch up on old episodes. But anyway, I would love to know from those of you who are alive, if that sort of resonates, that sort of buried in every life crisis is some sort of gift that wants to help us become an upgraded version of ourselves. I love the question, what's seeking to emerge? So those are the kinds of questions I like, rather than even, what's the lesson for me to learn? Because again, that just makes me feel like I did something wrong. And I think I coach people out of that all the time, because the easiest thing to do when things don't go the way we want them to is to get into some kind of self-blame. Hell, we don't even need things to go wrong. It can just come upon you, right? At any point of a day that you're not doing as much as you should, or you could be working harder, or you could be doing this or that for that person, or just like whatever. And all of a sudden you're spiraling into that, version of you that thinks you're not good enough, or you're not doing enough, or you're doing it wrong, something like that. So what I do in my work here, on Instagram, the free stuff that I put out here, and in all my one-on-one coaching, my free guides that I have, there's a lot of stuff over in my bio, so you could go check out more stuff in my bio. But everything that I do with clients and in my public-facing work is about bringing you out of that noise and chatter of the world and all the stresses of the world, not because we're going to ignore them. We're just going to come inward and find our power, reconnect with our strength, reconnect with the truth of who we are, because that person is quite capable of handling whatever the world throws at them, And so that's where all the strength is. That's where all the power is. And it's yours. Like nobody has to give it to you. I help a lot of people tap into theirs. I use people to help me tap into mine when I lose my way. That's why I love coaching so much, both as a client and as a coach, because as I said at the beginning, it's not like I have an illusion that I have no issues in my life or I handle everything, perfectly beautiful. No, I get sucked into downward spirals too, or, off into some worrisome mind trip or whatever. So it happens to me too. And sometimes I have to reach out to somebody to help bring me back, back to my truth, not their truth, not to the way they're going to do it. That's why I'm also so sort of against formulas. I mean, formulas can have some use. It's good to have, sometimes let's see, what do I want to say? Like a process that you can kind of grab hold of. Like my process that I call the solve it method is that. But the same thing doesn't work for everybody. And I think one of the easy downward spirals is we, watch somebody's stuff on Instagram or YouTube or wherever we are, or we read their book, and they give us the step 1, 2, 3, 4, do these things. And then, it's all going to be great in some way, shape, or form. You're going to have your power. You're going to have freedom. And you can, but everything doesn't work for everyone. And so that's what I love about the one-on-one coaching relationship, because if I get somebody who the process I use in the solve it method just kind of for whatever reasons isn't really working, I can tell it's not taking them deep enough, then I go use something else that I have. And then lots of people resonate really deeply with the process and the solve it method. So we use that, but still having someone outside of you look at your situation and help guide you back into your inner truth is really, really valuable, because we all have our own blind spots. We all have our own things about ourselves that we can't see really clearly or real easily, that someone else, especially in a therapeutic kind of relationship like it is with a coach, can very easily see. So I'm wondering if that resonates with you, this idea of when we're looking for an upgrade, when we've got some sort of challenge that we're dealing with, that the real answer is going to be down inside of you. It's going to be within you somewhere. It's going to require some kind of mindset upgrade, which then upgrades our feelings, which then upgrades what we start to imagine is possible. So it sort of takes us from this limited place where stress and limited mindset thinking, anxiety, all those things take us into a very sort of small place. It's very constricting. There's usually only this choice or that choice, or maybe only one choice. And when we get in those kinds of small boxes where we just feel like every which way we turn, it's not going to end up being a good, result, then we know we are deep, deep, deep in that limited thinking. Because in the exact same scenario, someone who's not in that limited thinking mindset is going to have different thoughts, which will create different feelings, which will cause different reactions, which will allow for more possibility, even if it's, I don't know, I don't have any other possibility of my own I can think of, but I know somebody I can go ask for help, or I know somebody I'm going to bounce this off of, or, whatever, to get some outside influence to maybe open yourself up to a possibility that you haven't imagined yourself. That's why being in a group is so great, because a lot of time, not always, but hopefully, that will provide that sort of collaborative atmosphere where you can bounce an idea, a solution, something off of someone and get some feedback on that. But then we have to remember to keep coming back to our own internal part of the journey to say, okay, so that worked for them, or they liked that, or they didn't like that, whatever. How does that feel now to me? Because again, the sort of linear part of your mind may just want to jump on somebody else's solution. Oh, that's probably better than what I was thinking of, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go do it that way. Whereas if you go inside and examine it on a more, fewer words, more feelings, right? It's just it's the way that we can focus on our breath and just follow our breath, so that we can get to sort of quiet all that noise in the world and hear our own inner voice, right? Everybody has an inner voice, and it may not feel audible to you, but you will have thoughts that come up. And one really great way to upgrade your life is to learn to discern that inner voice, that inner wisdom voice, versus the sort of mindset, limited thinking chatter that is going on in our minds all the time. Because you can't always tell the difference between those two based on the answer, so to speak. So whether you're thinking about leaving a job, or asking for a promotion, or maybe, leaving a relationship, or starting, to date again, or something like that. Like whatever the decision is that's ahead of you, it's not like we can tell, once you get to a yes, I'm ready to get in the dating world, or, no, I'm going to stay in my marriage. Like it's not the answer that tells you whether or not that was your truth. It's how it feels inside of you. And when you practice this, you just get to know inside your own body what truth feels like, and what that sort of stress-induced, very culturally impacted mindset does. Okay? It's much harsher. It's very judgy. it will usually find you wanting in some sort of not good enough way, right? But our inner wisdom isn't that way at all. Your inner wisdom doesn't ever think you're not good enough. It doesn't ever judge you. Even if it wants to say, no, stop, let's go a different direction. There's no judgment in it. Just because there's a no, or let's change the way we're doing that, doesn't mean there's judgment in it. But the mind will always put judgment in it. And so this ability to upgrade our lives by really practicing enough with our own inner, our own sort of relationship to that inner voice. Is this my inner voice, or is this my mindset chatter? And a lot of times we don't know that until we've done something and look back on it. This is not about being perfect. The journey is not about perfection. It's about being on it, for starters, right? Being willing to look at yourself first in moving your life forward, in upgrading your life, instead of pointing all the fingers at other people and situations where if they would just be different, I would be fine. Then you've painted yourself into a victim box, and you're bound to be stuck there and taken advantage of, even because when we are victims, we are reliant on what the other people around us do, and they can usually sort of unconsciously tell that we're playing victim. And depending on who they are, that might give them sort of a freedom to continue to take advantage or to use us in some way. Aha. Hey, Roosh Photography Boudoir. I love boudoir. That sounds very close to our relationship with desire. So I love that. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So this theme of upgrading our life, of using delight and desire, because I love those two words, because even though, of course, they can be used in many different ways, I like delight and desire because to me they speak to that inner voice that I have that just sounds a little bit different. As soon as I use the word delight, it sort of takes me inward because I'm not looking to something outside of me to take me to that delight. I may use something, if that sounds strange to you. I don't mean use in a bad way, but just like a catalyst, so getting out in nature to get me to what feels delightful to me, to get me to that inner part of my own heart, the inner part of my journey, to ask the question, well, what would delight me? I mean, that's how I started Delight and Desire, as this Instagram Live every week was just like, well, what can I do to, be out in the world with my work, to hopefully get some new followers, to nurture the followers I have, to give some really good content to the people who follow me. What could I do on a regular basis that would delight me? And I thought, well, I love doing lives. I'm happy to be on video. So I'm going to do an Instagram Live every week. And that was sort of the birth of Delight and Desire. So learning how to discern what is my inner voice and what is my sort of mind chatter, and then having the courage to choose the inner voice, because a lot of times the inner voice will make a choice that is not very conventional, that maybe kind of goes against the grain, or you won't necessarily get lots of support for. But even against that sort of opposition, to say, no, I'm going to follow this because it feels true to me. And so I'm going to do it in this way. So again, I just wonder if anybody relates to that, if you've had that kind of place where you're at a bit of a crossroads, and that mind chatter, of diminishment or criticism or just paralysis, right? Of just, I can't make a decision, indecisiveness sort of has you, grabbed you. And you want to find one of these ways to move forward that will upgrade your life and bring you closer to your own truth, into your own truth. And I say closer to because sometimes, at least for me in my journey to my truth, it wasn't just like, I don't know, ooh, boom, all of a sudden I'm there. I know my truth. I got it, no problem, whatever. I had to like move towards it. I had, there was a lot of trial and error and stuff that I thought was maybe true for me. And then I did it and I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it felt. And so I said, okay. So maybe that really isn't true for me. Maybe that was something I was conditioned to. We are all conditioned to so many things. It's easy to think, well, I like this because whatever, culturally, I'm supposed to, or I don't like it because culturally I'm not supposed to. Just a funny, silly example of this. When I must have been in my early 30s, and a girlfriend was taking me to London for the first time. Her husband worked for the airlines, so we got our, buddy pass airplane tickets and got the hotel. And then we were going to go to whatever they call it in London. It's not a half price ticket booth, but it's like that. Like they have in New York, where you can go the day of a show and get discounted tickets for that day. So we went, it was in Trafalgar Square. And so we went over there, we got tickets to see Phantom. And my first thought was, oh no, I won't like Phantom because it's an opera. Well, first of all, I obviously didn't even know enough about Phantom of the Opera at the time. This was, almost 30 years ago. So I was not as worldly, having grown up in my very sheltered home. And because it had the word opera, and I'm like, oh no, I don't like opera. Like my people don't like opera. And I no more said it out of my mouth than I was just like, what am I saying? First of all, I don't even know. I've never been to an opera. How do I know if I don't like opera? But in my family, I think because of our sort of socioeconomic place, we poo-pooed all those things that we felt like wealthy people did, going to the theater and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know why. There was just a lot of judgment for all that kind of cultural stuff in my family. And so without even examining it, I just kind of bought into it because I was cultured into it. So there are so many ways between our own family cultures, religious cultures, patriarchy, capitalism, so many things that can make us think we like or we don't like something where, that's for us or not for, like, whatever. And that's not even the truth because we haven't explored it ourselves. Yeah, Sherry, I love that. Life coach training has brought me so far, so much awareness. Now I realize moving forward is lifelong. Yes, and love it. New discoveries. I agree. I mean, I've been on my own inner journey for 30 years plus. Yeah, I had to think about that. A little over 30 years. And we'll never get off of it. And coach training was super helpful for me too. It really opened up a lot of awareness. It gave me a lot of practical tools because I love those practical tools. And so it's a big part of how I continue in a growth mindset. I expect to have my life upgraded all the time. Like upgrading my life is just a constant, and not in a way, here's what's different. Early on in my journey, even though it had a very emotionally healthy and spiritual component, it was still driven by a lot of internal negative thinking, that mind chatter of I'm not good enough, basically, just to oversimplify things, but that it certainly was true. And so even my personal growth was driven by there's something wrong with me, I'm not good enough, all that. Now, for the most part, I have grown beyond that. And my desire to grow is just for the desire of it, not because I don't feel like I'm good enough now or there's something less than about where I'm at now. I'm just looking forward to where all the future upgrades are going to be taking me. So Liz, yeah, I find that my inner voice, when it speaks to me and I start to rant back with excuses, I recognize it to be wisdom and I need to pay attention and consider the words of wisdom as truth. That is so true. My inner, and I find this true with everyone, their inner voice and that inner wisdom that inner guide, that inner teacher is so gentle and so quiet, and our minds are so loud and so fast. Also, my mind chatter speaks much faster than my inner wisdom does. And so now I've gotten to where, again, because I've created that intention to cultivate that discernment, because sometimes my inner wisdom wants me to, metaphorically or literally, eat the damn cake, right? Just enjoy the cake, eat all the frosting, all that, do it, And then other times it doesn't. It knows that cake isn't going to be good for, my body or whatever's going on, or maybe I just need to have 2 bites and let that be enough. It's not about the answer. It's not like our inner wisdom is always a killjoy. My inner wisdom wants me to be wallowing in delight and desire. And so learning how to listen to that and then trust it, because it will sometimes lead you in ways that you aren't expecting. And so it took me a while, I think that's most everyone's journey. It takes a while too before you trust it. So I love that. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. And once again, time flies when we're here on Instagram Live, and our time is up. And so I will wrap this up by just again thanking you so much for being here with me. To find out more about my work, or if you're interested in exploring coaching with me, I have a couple one-on-one spots open. Head on over to my bio. Everything's there. There's links for my free guide on cultivating delight and desire. There's the 15-minute connection call link. There's some videos, my podcast link for my Sunday weekly podcast, Uncover and Elevate. It's all there. So, or just DM me, because I love hearing from you directly as well. So with that, I am off. I will be back home in my normal gig and digs next Tuesday. So I've been in Pennsylvania traveling to do some leadership training and see some family members and friends and stuff here. But by next Tuesday, I'll have my tripod back for starters, so that I don't have to hold my phone. Sorry for the movement today. And be back in my own little office. So, you're welcome, ladies. I'm so glad it was grounding. Yeah, sometimes we just need, this is why I love being a coach and having coaches myself, because it is often easier to get grounded when somebody else is sort of helping facilitate that. When we can just sort of let go and let somebody else be the guide and sort of take us there, there's so much value in that. So thank you for letting me be your guide here for the last 30 minutes. Oops, sorry about that. Pressed the wrong button. And I love you, and I'll see you next week. Mwah!